Hey everyone, how's it going? G-Force here. We have something a little bit different today. It's spring here in Southwest Ontario, as you can see, and we have been super busy. This year's the first year we're doing like a big vegetable garden. You can see it behind me in that fenced area. And so one of the big things when you have a garden, as many of you probably know, is watering it. And it's pretty far from the house. The house is over here, and the closest water tap's actually on the other side of the house. So we would have to run a hose all the way from there into the garden to water our things. So right away, that was a big problem. So that was the one thing. The other thing was Mom and Dad also wanted to catch rainwater, and recycle it, use it to, or store it, and then use it to water our garden. So we had two problems there that were solved in pretty much one solution, and that's what I'm showing you here today.
So first of all was the rain catching problem. We don't really have a building out there that's large enough to really collect any amount of water from, but we do have a good amount of square footage on our house, so and we have a lot of rain that comes off in a single rainfall, so we decided to just pull from here. These are called IBC tanks, and you can get them on like Facebook or Kijiji or anything like that. They use them for everything from like honey to fish oil. We're using these ones for water. These are food grade. I guess it kind of really doesn't matter, but we just wanted to make sure we weren't putting chemicals or anything into our gardens. So these hold about 1,000 liters. We've got 3 of them, and so Mom and Dad got all the supplies and things. It's my job to figure out how to hook them together. We only have 2 downspouts here, so therefore we can really only hook them up to 2 tanks. So I did that. Oh, there's a wasp, sorry. And so we have 1 tank just standing here, and then we have 2 more over there. The far one is connected to the far downspout, and this is where it gets kind of interesting. I kind of just thought about it a little bit and decided to hook this up based on a physics principle that a similar fluid will level itself to the same height, no matter where it is, just as long as they're like the 2 bodies of water are connected. So what I did was, as you see here, I've got this I believe it's 1-inch like irrigation piping that comes from the far one and comes out to the second one. I just have it feed right into, so these tanks are basically in parallel, not in series, because I can turn on, like, they all have separate taps, which is nice, so you can turn on any one you like, but it's always feeding into the same line, and they're all separately controlled. So that's what I decided to do. And the thing with this is when it's raining, I can just turn on these 2 and they will equalize to the same water level. So there's no worrying about having to fill one and then pump it out into the second or any of that messy stuff. And these lines have been holding up pretty well to hold all the pressure, because that's like 2,000 liters of pressure. And by the way, 1,000 liters is 250 gallons for all you Americans. And so yeah, I had to get a bunch of connectors here because that's 2 inches down to 1 inch, but got that all figured out. On those ones, I just had like the PVC ones where you have to glue together. But here, I was also able to, like, this was actually a different thread, and I couldn't find anything for it, so just got this like rubber reducer sleeve, and it seems to work really well. I would probably have done that for all of them, just because it's a lot easier to put on and it's actually cheaper, but I didn't realize they worked so well until we got that one. So anyway, that's how we collect the water, and that's how they're all connected. But the next thing was to move all this water out into the garden there. So this is the fun part. I have a line running out, and I'm not sure if you can see over there. I'll just run over there. But I do have a pump, and it is a very interesting pump.
And this is where we, believe it or not, meet our old friend, the little 2-horsepower Briggs again. You may or may not remember, but last year I made a video where I put 2-horsepower Briggs on a wooden go-kart, and this Briggs I had actually rebuilt. It's my first engine that I had torn apart, and I actually had to do a little bit of rebuilding work on it, but it's kind of near and dear to me because I learned a lot from it, and ever since I did that go-kart, it's actually been just sitting on a shelf. And I was feeling bad about that because I feel like engines need to be put to work. So then I had this idea when we needed a pump for pumping water to the garden, and this is what it is basically.
This is a homemade pump from a the pump part I pulled off of a electric house pump that had the bearings had gone bad in it, but I ripped it apart and fixed it, but we decided to put a new one in the house. So that was just sitting around, and I figured, hey, I got a 2-horsepower engine. I don't like the fact that that one's electric, so I just hooked gas to electric. I really just chopped it right there.
Just put a little piece of garden hose, believe it or not, and it works to join the engine to the pump with a little bit of flex.
And my little 2-horsepower Briggs has a new life, which is really cool. So the reason I have it here in between the house and the garden is because it really is not massively powerful and does not have a lot of suction head or pressure head for that matter, so I kind of wanted it pretty equal. I found, well, the other thing is this is a 100-foot length of the irrigation hose. Tried going longer with it, but it seemed to have trouble pulling anything in. So this is what I got. I just made kind of a piece of hose here that goes from the top of the pump. There's actually like a valve here, turn it on and off. Right over to the garden, and so that's just a custom made length. At the end of it, oh cool, some geese. Anyway, at the end of it here, I actually have a Y splitter, and right there, and it goes to 2 hoses. That pump, I get enough water from it to pump water to 2 hoses. It's got enough pressure, and then we have wands, and it'll reach the other end of that
garden. So, and this side too. So it works pretty well. So this setup actually works pretty well. I figure I can pump at least 25 liters of water per minute, and that's at the engine only being pretty much idle. The electric motor that was on that pump before was only rated at like 1/2 horsepower, something like that. So it's actually, I'm putting a big engine on it for the size, but it works pretty well. And I'm just going to give you a little demonstration showing you how it works. Alright, so I made sure all my valves were on, which is very important when starting a gas water pump, because you really don't want any closed valves, or else it might blow something because of the pressure. It won't just go on and off like the electric pump will. And I also selected which tank I wanted to pull from and opened up that valve. That's the great thing about this setup, is you can choose any tanks or any combination of tanks you want to have full pressure, all 3 tanks, or just pull from one specific tank. So yeah, it works really well. And so we're gonna start this. Hopefully it'll run. It's a little moody sometimes, but I got everything in order. To crank it on choke for a few times first. All right, here we go. So that's our little setup for our quarter-acre garden. I hope you found this video useful, informative, helpful. And remember to like, subscribe, anything you feel like doing, even thumbs down if you really feel the need. But thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in future videos. G-Force over and out.